A significant wave of storms is moving across the United States, bringing multiple rounds of severe weather and a dramatic temperature shift. The first round is already underway today, targeting the Ohio Valley and Mid-Atlantic regions with threats of large hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes. The Storm Prediction Center has issued a Level 2 out of 5 slight risk of severe weather stretching from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania down toward Evansville, Indiana. A marginal risk extends from New York City westward into far eastern Missouri near Cape Girardeau. Residents across this corridor should remain alert throughout the day. The primary threat today is very large hail. A hatched area has been identified on storm prediction maps, indicating where several supercells are expected to develop this afternoon. These storms are capable of producing baseball-sized hail, which is highly unusual for March in the interior Northeast. Although moisture levels near the surface are lower than typical for severe weather setups, very steep atmospheric lapse rates mean any storm that develops will have significant hail potential. Damaging winds between 60 and 70 miles per hour are also expected, particularly across a corridor covering Pittsburgh, Columbus, Canton, and Washington, D.C. Residents in those cities should have multiple ways to receive weather alerts and a clear safety plan ready before storms arrive. Warnings could come quickly, and response time may be limited once these supercells begin forming. There is also a low-end tornado threat today. While not the primary concern, 1 or 2 tornadoes cannot be ruled out if enough moisture pushes into the environment. Dew points are sitting around 50 degrees, short of the 58 to 60 degrees typically needed for a strong tornado risk. Still, a tornado action plan should be in place for the afternoon and evening hours. Conditions are expected to remain relatively calm through the midday hours. Between noon and 1 p.m., any showers and isolated storms will be confined mostly to New York, northern Pennsylvania, and Ohio, and none of those are expected to be severe. The situation changes significantly around 3 to 4 p.m. when supercells are forecast to begin forming near Pittsburgh and State College, Pennsylvania. Large hail and damaging winds will be the dominant threats from that point onward. Isolated tornadoes remain possible between 3 and 9 p.m. Storm activity will spread considerably by 5 p.m., reaching areas near Columbus and just outside of Cleveland. A cluster of thunderstorms is expected to approach Harrisburg and Philadelphia by around 6 p.m. Between 7 and 8 p.m., activity near the East Coast will begin to weaken, while additional storms continue firing further west. Storm coverage will peak at roughly 80 to 90% by 8 p.m. As the system becomes outflow dominant by 9 to 10 p.m., severe weather potential decreases significantly. However, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-sized hail may still occur in isolated spots during those later hours. Into Monday, this system weakens considerably. Only a very low chance of an isolated hailstorm exists along the Carolina coastline during the afternoon hours. Much of the United States will see a relatively quiet start to the new week. Monday and Tuesday bring a welcome break from storm activity across most of the country. The exception comes in the form of snow showers in Michigan and Wisconsin on Tuesday, where moderate to heavy snowfall will be possible at times. The Pacific Northwest will also see heavy rain and snow from an incoming atmospheric river event. That atmospheric river will play a key role in the next major storm threat. By Wednesday, a large corridor of moisture will extend across Canada from the system, gradually organizing into a stronger storm by Thursday. This is something USA Storm Center will be watching very closely. By Thursday morning, showers and isolated thunderstorms are possible, but the more dangerous threat develops later in the day. The storm system could begin with snow and freezing rain in the upper Midwest, before transitioning into severe thunderstorms across the Ohio Valley by Thursday afternoon and evening. If conditions align correctly, this could be a significant severe weather outbreak. Damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes could all be on the table across the Ohio Valley, depending on the track of the low-pressure system. Forecast models are still showing some disagreement on the exact track. One scenario shows a more northern path with limited severe weather potential. A second and more concerning scenario shows a stronger setup with widespread storms from Pennsylvania all the way to Missouri. At this point, the second scenario appears more likely and the situation warrants close monitoring through the week. Friday may still see some lingering storms, though severe weather looks less likely by that point. Conditions should gradually improve heading into the weekend, but that relief may be short-lived. Looking ahead to early April, Another shift in the weather pattern is expected to bring additional active storm systems and an elevated risk of severe weather across the United States. The overall pattern this spring is setting up to be very active, and USA Storm Center will keep you updated every step of the way. On the temperature side, the country has been experiencing a historic heat wave. Record-breaking temperatures have been recorded across wide portions of the nation over recent days, with readings more typical of late spring or early summer than mid-March. This has contributed to the instability fueling today's storm threats. Relief is on the way for many. As the cold front advances southward today and into Monday, cooler Canadian air will sweep across the Midwest and East Coast. By early next week, temperatures in those regions will return to near or slightly below normal levels. The desert Southwest will continue to see above-average heat into next week, with no significant relief in the immediate forecast for that region. A secondary warm-up is expected later in the week for parts of the East, though it is not expected to reach the intensity of the current heat wave. This has been a truly remarkable weather pattern for the month of March. The combination of record heat, back-to-back severe weather setups, and a dramatic temperature reversal is something rarely seen at this time of year across such a large portion of the United States. Stay weather aware, keep your alerts turned on, and have a plan ready whether you're in the path of today's storms or tracking what's developing for later this week. USA Storm Center will continue to provide the